Technically speaking, technically speaking, I ain't talking vegan when I said that I've been eating, making money on the side, but I use it for the main. I'm speaking in code when I tech talk that financial freedom. Have a seat cause you gon' wanna sit up at my table, yeah. Plugged in that it, girl, IT with the cables, yeah. Network engineering is for you, it ain't no labels, yeah. Shaky with my passion, took a leap, it got me stable, yeah. Now I make 100K or better, paper couldn't fit a stapler, and I spend it on my passion cause I'm capable. Technically speaking, now I'm really talking vegan when I said that I've been eating, I've been technically speaking. Technically speaking, China white. When I've been said I've been technically speaking, said I've been technically speaking, China white.
So DNS, you guys may have already seen DNS before. I've dealt with it in some way. It is domain name system, okay? And in short, it is a system of matching names with numbers, okay? So when I say we were doing google.com, you know, we can also go to 8.8.8.8 because that's Google's server, that's their static server IP address. Or we can do www.google.com and then it'll translate to this IP address to basically resolve that, hey, this is who it is, okay? Servers don't read names, right? So, computers don't read names, right? Computers read numbers. That's why we even break down from the IP address down to binary, because computers are very simple. They're ones and zeros. We know that. So we need something because we're not going to remember, oh, what's your address? What's your website? My website is, you know, unless it's, you know, like Google's 8.8.8, but you're not going to remember that, oh, my website is 192.197.2.5.3. Like, you're not going to do all that. So we have a resolution system, and that resolution system is called domain name system. Okay. Excuse me. So this right here kind of gives you a path of how DNS works. So if you look at number one, it says, if you look at this host, let me get my pen. For some, hold on, let me get my pen. Oh no. Oh, maybe I have to download it because I want to make. Oh. There we go. But let me do this first. Okay, no, it did the same thing. I was trying to see how I could, and maybe because this is a different browser. This is a Brave. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Let's just continue. So right here, number one, you see a laptop, right? And the one says, I need directions to, and of course, we're going to say google.com, but in this example, it says www.howstuffworks.com, right? So the packets are going to send it to the domain server. The domain server, number two right here. And the server says domain name is, you know, howstuffworks.com. It's not in my database or my cache. Let me try another server. So it's going to go to another server. You see 3 right here. And it says, oh, that's in my cache. It maps to this IP address. Okay. And then it's going to go back to this DNS server. You see the fourth step. Great. I'll cache that in my case. And in case I get more requests, or in case, you know, it decides to keep going back to how stuff works, they don't have to keep going to this server, right? Okay, so once it is in the cache, it goes back to the computer. The computer will go to the website, to the main page, the home page of howstuffworks.com. And as you can see right here, this is the howstuffworks.com servers, right? So that's essentially how DNS works, right? You're going to ask, the client is going to request information, which is a website. We know the website in a in word form, in a name form, but it's going to be translated once it goes to the server into a IP address form. And then it's going to come back to us as resolved, right? Pretty simple. Again, you probably seen DNS before in some sense, but it's just a network protocol used to translate host names into IP addresses. This is a really good sentence here, right? That's all it is. And again, the biggest thing is to know how does it operate, right? Explain the functions. And you have your device that's asking, hey, I need this request, and it's giving some type of reply. All right. Now let's see. Okay, so there are two types of DNS lookups, right? There's a forward DNS lookup and a reverse DNS lookup. Sounds pretty, self-explanatory. A forward DNS lookup is the host asks the domain name and an IP address is returned. So can I go to howstuffworks.com and then return is going to say, yes, it's 172.12.10.5. Reverse DNS lookup is just the opposite. The host asks, hey, my computer, I'm going to say, hey, can I go to 172.10.5.2? And then they're going to come up and say, hey, it's howstuffworks.com. Okay. So those are the different types of lookups that you kind of really want to make sure that, you keep in your memory bank, because that will definitely be on the exam. As far as these key terms, so we have a record, and this is when you are configuring. You're gonna these terms come into play when you're configuring DNS. You're gonna configure it on a server, and this is kind of like, let me see. So yeah, this is kind of like an example. This right here is an example of, one of the pages you would, see when you're configuring a DNS server. So you see host name, you got the FQDN, the fully qualified domain name, and then the IP address. And it's going to update associate PTR pointer to record, and you're going to click apply and click OK. And then you're going to just keep going through different settings, right? However, these are the key terms that will, help you be able to configure it on the server. So again, you have an A record, returns IP address information for a given host name. We all need an A record. That's for IPv4 only, but we see IPv6 is a record. Okay, same, it's just for IPv6. So we need to make sure that we have an IP address and a host name, one name, right? As you can see here, we have a name, APP1. And then we also need to have an IP address. So we need both of these, our A records, right? A record. Let me see. And then the C name, it's basically just another name. It's the DNS lookup. It basically just tries to continue looking up a name, but it'll try like, a different type of name for you. And most of the time, I believe that's the fully qualified domain name. They'll try the different names. Then you have MX, Mail Exchange, maps a domain name to a list of message transfer agents for that domain. You got PTR, pointer record, pointer to basically an analysis name. It's something almost like, you can kind of say a different type of name. It's kind of the same as CNAME. That's how I understand it. It's something like CNAME. You can just say it's kind of different, right? Just as a definition right here, it's a DNS processing stops and just the name is returned. The most common use for implementing reverse DNS lookups, but other use include such things as DNS SD. So like I said, I look at it as CNAME, but kind of reverse, because again, reverse DNS lookups, kind of just like if you come up here, where is it at? if you come up here, you know, forward DNS lookup, reverse DNS lookup, as long as you know what forward that actual definition is, then you'll know like it's the same, just in reverse. Okay, and then NS lookup provides DNS server information for a given domain. So just like IP config, you can use this DNS lookup and, you know, it will give you, NS lookup, and it'll give you the DNS server information. Actually, we can do that right now just to see what it actually brings up. NS lookup. There. So it tells me my default server. So as you can see here, this is my default server, and it tells me my address, and it's only using my IPv6 address. I wonder how I can get to the IPv4. Let me see. Anyway, we'll get there. But yes, you can see it shows some information. Let's see what else we have. And NS lookup is, again, it helps you with troubleshooting. So that's why you would, you know, really use it. Let's see, because I don't need to go exactly through everything, but basically, if it says if it's not working, how do you know it's not working? Right here. I like to give you guys some, at least in some of the blogs or some of the reads, kind of like a scenario for troubleshooting, because that's really the main reason of why you would learn this and get a job in this type of industry as a network engineer. They want to know if you can fix things. So that's great that you know about DNS lookup, and you know you can explain the definition of an A record and a C name, and you know, a pointer record. But what if DNS is not working? Can you fix that? You know, so like that's the questions they're gonna ask you in these interviews and stuff to see if you're qualified. Like, can you fix? So, you know, they may ask you questions like, so, you know, what does it look like when a DNS resolution is not working on a client? Like when DNS resolution is not working, what does that look like? Like describe that process, right? And you know what DNS is, you know what DNS resolution is. So it's like, you know, you can now formulate your own question, you know, your own answer in your own words, right? And that will, you know, make you more qualified because you already know what DNS is. So it's like, well, when DNS resolution is not working, that means that, you know, the client may try to get to one of our websites, maybe, you know, a time card website, and it's not pulling up. They're getting some type of error, like, you know, try again or error 404, just some type of error, but it's just not pulling up our company's website. That's an example.
Will be number 1 is TSU Team Hub. This is where all our hub information is at. This is where you'll go first, and you can ask questions here, create you a nice card with your name on it, and let us know what you're here, what your goals is, so we can help you accomplish that. Okay? The second board you would come up to is how to get a 6-figure job. This is my exact path on how I was able to break into tech and get a 6-figure tech job. Even when you got that job, or let's just say you are at a comfortable job, it may not be 6 figures, maybe, you know, 90K, 80K, something in that sort, and now you're looking into making 6 figures in your business. You can use this board as well, so we can help you get to that goal with getting 6 figures in your business, okay, by utilizing technology. And the third one here that everyone mostly is at is the CCNA or Net Plus exam notes. All right. These are all the exam notes here. And we have it in our boards that you see where it has start, and you see our network fundamentals, network,
you know, DNS resolution not working. And then, you know, they may expound and say, well, how do you fix it? You know, how does that work? Well, how would you go about fixing it? And then I guess right here, I said, if you ping a domain name and it's working, you'll see something like this. There are really only a couple of reasons why DNS. Okay, so yeah, so they'll say, how would, you know, it's not working. Well, how would you fix it then? And then you'll take a couple steps. You'll say, you'll figure out maybe the IP address of the DNS server is wrong and on the host, or maybe it's just unreachable from the host, right? And here we are right here. The DNS server IP address is wrong in the client's configuration settings, or the DNS server is unreachable from the client. So either the client can't route it properly or the DNS server is down. So either it's the client or the server that's the issue if DNS is not resolving, okay? And the client is either the IP address is wrong, and on the server it's either down or the client just can't reach it. So that's only things we can't troubleshoot, you know? And then here I gave you guys steps to take to troubleshoot. You know, make sure that you're connected to the internet. So, you know, if you're a network engineer, and again, this is a typical issue in, you know, in the industry, right? So the client, well, we're gonna say, you know, there's a manager, you know, in the finance department, and or there's a customer service manager, and you know, she and her half of her team cannot go to, you know, let's say they can't go to the home page of our company, you know. So we're like, and that's how they're able to clock in and see everything. So we're the network engineers or the network administrators. We're going to get that ticket in the queue. We're going to say, okay, well, you know, manager and team cannot get, you know, to this website. And the website's good. So, you know, well, we're not going to say that, we're not going to assume it. That's just a ticket. They came in for IT and they decided to give it to the network guys. So we take the ticket and we say, what's going on? So the first thing we do is going to gather information from the manager. We're going to say, okay, can you reproduce the issue again? Go to www. We're not going to say just type in the name, because a lot of times we just type in, let's just say we want to go to Facebook. We'll probably type in facebook.com. So we'll probably tell the client to type in www.facebook.com. Oh, okay. What's the error message? Now the error message can lead you, the error message is, you know, going to tell you where to go, whether it is a 404 or it is something like a 501. Let's look at that. Let's look at error messages. I think HTTP error messages. Here we go. So yes, error messages. So just like, you know, 404, they may get a 404 right here, you see, and it says the request page could not be found but may be available in the future again. Okay, so if it's a 404, that's kind of vague, but that just lets us know that it's not telling anything specific, like 401 unauthorized, right? It's not telling us something like, you know, or even 403 forbidden, or just something to where we can now say, okay, now something's being restricted. But 404 is really kind of general, but at least we know that nothing's being too, it's not two restrictions on it. Let's go down. So yes, we'll make you go to your error code. Okay, cool. What error are you getting? Now let's just say they are getting a 404 and it is pretty generic. Okay, so now we want to see, is this just you, or is this just your team, or is this the whole floor, or what's going on? You know, so let's just say it's, you know, her and half her team, right? So now we know that, okay, it's not affecting a whole like network or a whole VLAN, you know, because it's just half of a team and the whole team is on the same VLAN, for instance. So now we'll find out, number two, find out all users are affected. It's the manager and half her team. So then we'll ping the server, and these steps you'll take. So you'll ping the server from the you'll ping the server IP and the name from your end to ensure you can reach it, and you'll ping it from the client's end. So you'll take let's just start off with the manager's computer, and whether you actually physically go to her computer as a network administrator, you know, pre-COVID, or, you know, you're going to do it remotely, you know, because you are a remote worker. You're going to remote into her computer. You're going to pull up her command prompt. You're going to say NS lookup, and you're going to ping the IP address of the DNS server. Okay, you're going to ping the IP address of the actual website, because that's our website. It's our website, you know, in the company. So let me get the IP address. We're going to ping it. and let's see what happened. Okay. Again, we're going to show you have A records. We already did the NS lookup command, and let's say it's still not working, then we're going to try another DNS server, because you always have an alternative, right? And, you know, if you are able to get to the other DNS server, then you can need to reboot that other server. And if you can't get to that server, then you just reboot both servers, or you reboot the one that you're trying to get to, which is the initial one. Most of the time, that'll get you. If not, it's a configuration. It's something in the DNS server that is just configured wrong, or on the client that's configured wrong. You see, client's network configuration is wrong. So maybe Kathy, maybe the manager, customer service manager, and you know, half of her team, maybe their computers their network settings on their computers were configured incorrectly. You know, maybe somebody fat fingered 3 for them and the correct one, which was .1 for the other side of the team. I don't know, but it's most likely could be something with the client's network configuration. And then, you know, you want to take a look if it's not, if the configuration is 100% correct, you know, because you double checked, you have somebody else double check it, then it's something with their routing capabilities, something with something was blocking them from routing it properly. Or the DNS server is down, like I said, and we own the DNS, we don't own it, but the DNS server could be hosted in our network. You know, it could be on-prem or in the cloud, but it's something that we would manage. So we would know if it's up or down, right? So this is kind of like an easy troubleshooting scenario. But I kind of like to give troubleshooting scenarios because on things that you will actually deal with. And this is something that you will actually deal with. Like this is a real life scenario. I've dealt with it before. And it was literally the IP address. It was something with the IP address. What I really honestly don't remember. Something. It was wrong, or it was to the wrong one because it was in different subnets, whatever, you know, it was getting a little crazy. But I fixed it, you know, by pointing it to the correct DNS server. So that's DNS. Now let's talk about SNMP. Okay, SNMP is Simple Network Management Protocol. Okay, it is simply just a protocol for management, so we can manage our network. So we have a SNMP manager, right? Which is us. We're the ones that are going to go in and manage our network. And then we have our router that we're going to get onto right here. And we have SNM agents, which are part of the protocol, devices that are part of the protocol that will send us information that we request. You know, we may say, as the manager, we may say, you know, what ports, what interfaces are all administratively shut down. We'll send that request to our agents, and our agents will say, well, on this router, these ones been shut down by an admin. On the server, these ones been shut by an admin. On this switch, you'll say these ones been shut. And then they'll have me in a nice little, you know, dashboard and give it, and, you know, pewed it out to where on this nice little graphic user interface. And I can see which ones are behaving badly and which one, or whatever I requested, I get that information back. Right. And clearly it's to see which devices are down, or need, or interface got down, or whatever the case may be. It just helps us manage this network in a simpler way. Okay. Now we kind of talked about system messages, and you know, here's a system message right here to where it will probably look like what you see on a router. You know, you'll see this, and it's basically telling you that it's a SNMP message. It's a system logging. We didn't get that. Well, we kind of did talk about that before, but it's a system logging message at the end of the day. Okay. And let's see. You can definitely go on the router, do a show command, because you configured it. Anything that you can configure, you always want to show. Okay. Let's see what else you guys need to actually Okay, so this kind of goes a little deeper into SNMP as far as like the framework, which you definitely should know because you want to explain the function. SNMP, like I said in the beginning, has a manager and has agents. You know, the manager is going to command and request stuff that the agent needs to go ahead and provide. And it has a third component, which is a MIB, a management information base. And that's there for, I believe it's like almost transferring the information. Let me see, between the manager and the agent. Where is MIB? Oh, here we go. MIB, managed information base, resides on the switch router on that device. The SNM agent can also send unsolicited traps to the manager, and the agent, the software component within the managed device, maintains the data for device. It's not telling me. Oh, okay, here it is. The managed informational base is a virtual informational storage area. What consists of? Okay, so yes, again, they're just a middleman collecting information between the manager and the agent talking within each other. As you know, there's different versions of SNMP. Well, not as you know, but there's always going to be, you know, some type of upgrade, and there's been a version 1, version 2, C, and a version 3. Okay, definitely go through each version so you know the difference between them. They will be on the exam for sure. Excuse me, as far as what's better versus the other. So version 1 obviously was the first version, so it was criticized for its poor security. Version 2, it improves the limitations of version 1 because it was, you know, criticized by security. We have version 2 that includes, you know, performance and manager to manager communication, which is really big. And then version 3, it's really big changes with the level of security. You can set different types of levels. It's not just, you know, it's just not just on or off. You got a different type of model, security model, better encryption. Right here, the message integrity, authentication, and encryption. You know, that's basically what version 3 includes. And it tells you a little bit about, you know, how it works. And definitely read through it so you get a solid understanding. But at the end of the day, simple network management protocol is just a protocol that allows us to manage our network in a simple way. We configure a manager and we configure agents. The manager requests information and the agents reply with information. Simple as that. Okay. That goes deep a little bit more, so definitely read up on it. And let's see, system logging. Okay, so let's go here. How to work the CLI. Now we went through this already. That was like the beginning of the course. So I'm just gonna scroll down. Actually, CLI. We talked about, and here talks about SSH, and Telnet. We know SSH is more secure than Telnet, right? So secure shell is what it is. Telnet sends information, is a way to remote in, is a way to remote in port number, so way to remote in to devices, right? So from my device, if I want to remote into the router, I'm going to use either SSH or Telnet. And Telnet is not secure. It's going to send all the information through plain text, and secure shell, SSH, is actually going to encrypt the data. Okay. Now, when we're talking about, as you see, Telnet's right here, don't use it. SSH on the router. And you guys should have definitely configured this a couple times. We had a lot of labs that made you configure SSH and Telnet. But system logging, again, we're just going to review it really quick because we went over that. System logging is just all about for a network device to send event messages to a logging server, right? It uses port 514. Please remember that. So again, basically, it will come up like this to where you'll see, which we see all the time, line protocol 5 up down, line protocol on interface gigabit 0/0, change state to down, and then it gives you little numbers right here. That's basically telling you that, hey, here's it. 5 was 5. 5 is notification. It's basically just telling you that something has changed. Okay. Please make sure that you understand the system alert messages, right? What does a 3 mean? What does a 1 mean? What's a 2 mean? What's a 4? What's a 5? What's a 6? What's a 7 at the end of the day? Okay. And that was that for that. And lastly, we have file transfer protocol. Okay. This is something we kind of, started a little bit, but we haven't officially went over. So file transfer protocol, FTP, is basically just used to transfer files from one computer to the next. That's really all it is. So a user has some file that they have to send, or some type of FTP client that's on their, installed on their device, and they can access the FTP server, running machine, on it. So what they do is, well, your computer, you have some type of software like FileZilla, and you want to transfer your files from it. So you would download it, upload the file, put the host name, as you can see right here, which is whatever the IP you want to send, username, password. Clearly you gotta log in, and you just simply connect, simply send the file. And the difference between FTP and TFTP is the T is just trivial. It's still file transfer protocol. Okay. It just doesn't support it being secure, and it's more it's like Telnet, sends everything in clear text, right? So it does the same thing as far as FTP. Again, it's just trivial. So it's just it supports a different type of communication. FTP is more complex, because it's not going to send it clear text like TFTP. So TFTP is more of a simple version of FTP, right? It lacks some of the advanced features or security features that FTP has. So that's why you want to know the difference between TFTP and FTP, because one is more secure than the other. So depending on what files you're sending to the server, does it really need to be protected, or are you able to show it out in the open? Right. And what's this down here? Oh, secure shell. We kind of already talked about it. This was a nice little diagram here. SSH client initiates the connection by contacting the server. The SSH server sends a server public key. The SSH client will negotiate parameters in an open secure channel, so they can start doing what they need to do. And then they'll start talking with each other, and then the SSH client will log in with its credentials and start doing what it needs to do, which is, do you want to do an NSL lookup, or do you want to do IP config, or do you want to open up some interfaces, right? Wherever you're in. And that is it. Okay, so let me go back here. Again, DNS, SNMP, system logging, SSH, and file transfer protocol. Just make sure that you can explain these protocols. Make sure you know the function, how they operate.